The unfortunate reality of Jarred Kelenic's future. It is no secret that Jarred Kelenic has struggled at the major league level. Obviously, the biggest piece coming back to the Mariners in the Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz deal, Jarred Kelenic was seen as the future of the Mariners, and now he's the biggest question mark for the Mariners. Over his roughly 500 plate appearances at the major league level, we have seen JK struggle both at the plate as well as mentally, showing his frustration with umpires through strikeouts, popping up, pulling the ball to the same side, which has really affected him as well as the team. In 2023, it sounds like Jarred Kelenic is going to get another shot at left field for this team, but what does that mean for his future? If Jarred Kelenic once again does not perform for the Seattle Mariners in 2023, is he sticking around? A lot of people have also said, man, Jarred Kelenic just needs to get out of here already. He's not worth anything, and he's really someone that the Mariners shouldn't be giving an opportunity to. But I want you guys to listen to what Jerry Dipoto had to say on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Once again, congratulations to them. This is such a big interview, and to see someone like the Locked On Mariners podcast, Colby and Ty, get a chance to do this is absolutely incredible. Could not have happened to a better Mariners channel. Colby asked Jerry about how working with JK as well as AJ Pollock is going to work out in left field. Take a listen.
I'm curious about left field in particular here, but how do you, as a team that has, aspirations to win the World Series, how do you balance potential of a young up and coming player versus the likelihood of production with a more established vet? How do you walk that line?
That if we want this to be sustainable, that you have to start growing a lot of those impact or everyday players at a fairly regular rate. You're not going to be able to inject one young player every 6 or 7 years and get by. So, you have to reserve playing time for those players. And, we did it a year ago and some worked, like we saw Cal Raleigh take off. We had the opportunity for George Kirby and he hit the ground running, and others struggled, like JK didn't hit the ground running. And as a result, we go into this season with a little less certainty in what's going to happen in left field. Some of it due to underperformance, some of it due to injury, with a guy like Taylor Trammell, who through no fault of his own, he's performing very well. And then he hit the IL and circumstance happens. But our general opinion is that it's the opening day isn't the end of the season, it's the start of the season. And, we're putting ourselves in the most advantageous position we can to build up the most robust roster we can while still providing opportunity for our young players. And then as we start getting into the waters of the competitive season, determining whether we need to add to backfill our roster or to replace a player because it's just not clicking for them. And I think, last year is a great example of that when, we started and it was working out for some and not quite for others. We're pretty aggressive in going out and filling those holes. And we went out and filled them. And when we saw opportunity, we did. But we think starting the season, particularly in left field, we are a much better long-range team with a chance to win, World Series, plural, if Jarred Kelenic or Taylor Trammell turn into the types of players we think they have the potential to be. And if we don't give them the chance to do that, they certainly won't. Opportunity is required.
Jerry goes on to talk about how JK has struggled at the major league level. Once again, we've seen this as seen in his 66 OPS plus in his career, his 168, 251, 338 slash with just 21 home runs in his career. But Jerry also says, and it's something that we kind of all agree with, that the future of JK is if he turns out to be the player they think he could be, he is the single biggest addition the Mariners can make to this team. He's an integral part of the Mariners' future, and if they want to make the playoffs, if they want to win the World Series in the next few years, and they want to win it multiple times, like Jerry says, then JK is an essential element of that. Jerry does say that if need be, they will pivot, they can pivot, but they're going to give the at-bats to JK when they can to see him succeed. Because once again, if he is healthy and if he is performing at the potential that he should be, Jarred Kelenic is a difference maker in this Mariners lineup, batting in the top 5. And we're going to see a lot of Jarred Kelenic in the spring training games that are coming up next month due to a lot of players being gone at the WBC. So if Jarred Kelenic can get a bunch of at-bats under his belt and possibly go into the season on the right foot, if he can go in with some success in spring training, on his shoulders, then maybe, just maybe, JK can show up in 2023 and be the player we hope that he can be. With that being said, however, if Jarred Kelenic comes out and is the player that he's been the last 2 years, not showing any signs of improvement at the plate, not being able to hit a breaking ball, and still getting in his own head all the time about strikeouts, then there is a decent chance that by the middle of the season, Jarred Kelenic's gone. The Mariners do not want to give up on somebody like JK because of the potential that he has at the plate and in the field. He's a great defender. Looking at his Baseball Savant page, you can take a look at his 2021 percentile rankings. You can see he has great arm strength. His outfield jump is about average. Outs above average is a little bit low. Of course, such a hard stat to predict, but it's his hitting that has really taken him back. His barrel percentage is rather high and he has a decent max exit velocity, but his average exit velocity is so low because he barely hits the ball. Whiff percentage is low, walk percentage is decent. His K percentage is very low. And overall at the plate, Jarred Kelenic just has not figured it out. With only a few games in 2022, it's pretty clear that Jarred Kelenic didn't have much to show for his percentile rankings, but you can still see his max exit velocity, 94th percentile. JK hits the ball hard. Putting Jarred Kelenic out in left field and hoping that he can succeed is the right thing for the Mariners to do. Even if AJ Pollock is the AJ Pollock of old and puts up, 20 home runs or what have you, giving Jarred Kelenic the at-bats, giving him the chance to prove that he belongs here is so much more important to the Mariners, because if he can make it happen, Jarred Kelenic is a perennial all-star. Jerry says that we need to see guys like Kelenic and Taylor Trammell get the at-bats and give them a chance, because if they can reach their potential, they make the Mariners that much better, and I agree. But Jerry also does mention that if something is not working out, they're not afraid to pivot and go fill the hole that they have. Meaning that if Jarred Kelenic is not working out in the middle of the season, the Mariners could go out and make a trade to fill that left field spot. Could that trade be somebody like Brian Reynolds finally sending JK over to Pittsburgh? It's of course possible. And this is one of the main reasons why I don't think the Mariners are going to make any more additions this offseason, at least nothing to write home about, because they're going to give JK these opportunities. And it sounds like the Mariners also want to give Taylor Trammell these opportunities. So putting Trammell in that DH spot, rotating him through the outfield, maybe having Trammell and right, Teoscar batting in the DH spot once in a while. I think that this is the Mariners' plan. I think that we are going to see Taylor Trammell get quite a few at-bats. I think we're going to see Jarred Kelenic get quite a few at-bats. And then if neither of them are working out, then they will probably both be on their way out at the end of the season. Whether or not the Mariners are going to make another addition is actually something that Jerry Dipoto also talked about on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Go ahead and check that video out on the screen now. I appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.